Assalamualaikum to Madam Ashikin and all of my friends. So today I'll be talking about the issue of teenage pregnancy in Malaysia. So before we begin, I would like to share why we choose this topic. So back in secondary school, Athirah had a close friend who became pregnant during her SPM year. Watching her friend struggle with studies and also the family pressure made us realize that teenage pregnancy is just not a number. It is a real issue that affect education, health, and also the future. So because of this, we decided to choose this topic for our assignment as we believe it is important to discuss and understand the effect clearly.
Okay, so first, let me introduce ourselves. My name is Nur Athirah binti Mohd Zamri, and this is my partner, Hasya Nadhirah binti Halim.
So to start with, I'll present to you about the introduction. So teenagers nowadays are facing many challenges, and one of the issues that are happening is increasing concern in Malaysia is the rise of teenage pregnancies. So according to VIN 2014, teenage pregnancy is defined as pregnancy carried by a girl that age between 10 to 19 years old. So, according to Shamir and Idayu 2023, pregnancy may result from voluntary or involuntary sexual activity, and teenage fertility is a concern due to higher death rates among teenage mothers and newborns. So this issue affect not only young mothers but also their family, and as for the society, it also brings a broader impact on the society as a whole.
Okay, so let's now take a closer look at the first chart. This chart was taken from Fazilna 2023 in the article A Growing Need for Sex Education published in The Star. This chart shows the number of antenatal cases among teenagers registered with the Malaysian Ministry of Health from 2019 to 2022. The data is separated into categories which are married and unmarried teenagers. Starting with 2019, the total number of teenage pregnancies was 10,349 cases. Out of these, married teenagers made up the majority with 6,186 cases compared to 4,163 cases among unmarried teenagers. In 2020, we can see a clear drop in both categories. Married cases fell to 5,252 and unmarried cases decreased to 3,831, bringing the total down to 9,083. This decline may be linked to the early phase of the COVID-19 pandemic, which limited movement, reduced social interaction, and affected access to healthcare and schooling. The downward trend continued in 2021, where the total cases dropped again to 8,208, with 4,975 cases among married teens and 3,233 cases among unmarried teens. The prolonged pandemic period, especially school closures and reduced community programs, may have continued to influence these numbers. However, in 2022, we start to see a slight change. Married teenage pregnancies increased slightly to 5,245, while unmarried pregnancies continued their consistent decline, reaching 2,908 cases, which is the lowest across all 4 years. The total for 2022 remained relatively low at 8,153. What this tells us is that the gap between the two categories is widening. While pregnancies among unmarried teenagers show a steady and continuous decrease every year, pregnancies among married teenagers seem to stabilizing or even rising slightly. This could reflect better awareness and contraception access among unmarried teens, while cultural or social factors may continue to influence early marriage and pregnancy. So overall, this chart shows us a steady reduction in total teenage pregnancies from 2019 to 2022.
So for the next slide, I'll be present about the impacts of teenagers' pregnancy. So this bar graph was taken from an article from Vin et al. 2014. So from the chart, emotional problem shows the highest percentage, reaching 92.3%, which is dramatically higher than all other impacts. The article explained that teenage mothers experience strong emotional distress, such as stress, guilt, sadness, and fear, because they are mentally unprepared and worried about family and social reaction. So this makes emotional impact the most serious challenges for teenage mothers. So the second highest impact is sleeping problems at 57.7%, which is substantially lower than emotional issue, but still affect more than half of the respondent. The article mentions that physical discomfort, anxiety, and also caring for a baby often disturb their sleep and cause fatigue. So the next one, low self-efficacy at 46.2%, and school or work problem at 42.3% fall within a similar range. So many teenagers' mother feel unsure of their ability to manage pregnancy because they lack of maturity and support. Meanwhile, school or work problem arise because many teenagers drop out or miss classes due to pregnancy-related health issue, embarrassment, or a pressure from the family. So it also arises because of the difficulty returning to school while caring for a child. So both financial problem and peer relationship problem record 38.5%, making them constant and equal percentage. Financial difficulties happen because teenagers has no stable income and rely on others for the support, such as family. So peer relationship problem appears when friends distance themselves or judge them, so causing a feeling of isolation and reducing their social support. So the next one, self-care problem, at 30.8% are somewhat lower than mid-range impacts. The article states that many teenagers struggle with a proper self-care, including nutrition and a monthly checkup for the baby due to lack of knowledge and guidance. So last but not least, stigma and discrimination at 23.1%, which is far lower than emotional and sleeping problems. So, although lower, the article highlight that judgment from peers and family can still affect their confidence and lead to social withdrawal.
Okay, so to conclude, teenage pregnancy remains a serious issue in Malaysia and it brings significant consequences to education, health, and overall social well being. Many affected teenagers face challenges such as dropping out of school, emotional stress, social stigma, and financial difficulties. These impacts can affect not only the teenagers themselves, but also their families and communities. So because of this, requires more than just awareness. It needs a comprehensive approach that includes proper and age-appropriate sex education, open communication within families, and continuous support from schools, healthcare providers, and community. When these elements work together, we can help teenagers make safer decisions and reduce the risk associated with early pregnancy. In short, the data we presented today highlights the importance of addressing this issue early and collectively. By improving knowledge, strengthening support systems, and creating a more open environment, we can better protect the well being and future of young Malaysians. That's all from the both of us. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you.
Thank you. Cuti tengok siapa? Okey ke?